Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Today I'm going to bring up a topic that I don't think I've ever talked about before, but that does not mean that it isn't important, because it is so important. And it's this: self-education is a must for homeschool parents. As a homeschooling parent, I'm willing to bet that most of you, when you think about homeschooling, you think about educating your children. You think about what curriculum they're going to use, or what you want them to learn about, or what's going to go on the lesson plan. But one thing that every homeschooling parent should also remember to do is to self-educate. Being autodidactic, that's another word for self-educated. Being autodidactic is so important, especially in this day and age when we're fed so much misinformation, so much propaganda. We can't seem to know what it is that's true and false that's being handed to us. And that is why it is so important that not even just homeschooling parents, and not even just parents, but every single person, it is so important for every single person to start being able to do their own research and to study things on their own. And this is something that is especially crucial as a homeschooling parent, because you know what, a lot of homeschooling parents choose to homeschool because they do realize that there's a lot of indoctrination going on in school, and there's a lot of mistruths being taught in school. So as a homeschooling parent, even with the curriculum that we have available to us, a lot of them unfortunately do parrot a lot of the issues that are taught in the public school system. So we as homeschooling parents are going to need to reach out, and we're going to need to find that information that we find so important for our kids to learn about. And you know what? You're being such a good example to your kids. When your kids see you picking up a book and reading simply because you want to know about something, you are being a living example of what you are trying to instill in your kids every day. You know, as homeschooling parents, we're always telling our kids how important it is to read, and how important it is to know how to look for information, and how important it is to not be afraid to research things that you don't understand. But if they never see an actual adult or loved one in their life who is actually putting this into practice, it can be hard for them to understand that you mean what you say. These things really are important. So be an example for your kids. And I know that not everyone likes to read. I get that. But again, in this day and age, it's just getting crucial that you do know how to research your own information. And sometimes, yeah, that can even come out in watching videos or watching documentaries about things. But to me, the world of books just offers so much more. It just seems that there's so much more out there than just limiting yourself to videos. That, yes, be that example for your kids, that, yeah, if your kids tell you, I don't like to read, you can't very well hold it against them if you're thinking the same thing and you yourself never read. So please keep that in mind. Now, another great reason to self-educate is for you to broaden your knowledge. There are so many ideas that we as homeschooling parents very often want our kids to learn about, but that we know are not going to be broached in school. So it is the perfect way for us to help our kids to learn about things that they might otherwise not learn about, because, you know, it's not going to come in that typical school curriculum. But even if it doesn't have to do with homeschooling, even if it is just you as the parent wanting to know something, maybe it's about history, maybe it's about how to do something, or maybe you just want to start reading classics and knowing more about them. Even if you never use this in your homeschool with your kids, it is still going to help you to broaden all of the knowledge that you have. And you never know when the time will come up in your homeschool that, yes, all of those things that you learned will be helpful, and that you will be a wealth of knowledge for your kids at that point in time. And you know, I also want everyone, all of you who are believers, I want you to remember that we are called to love the Lord our God with all of our heart, soul, and mind. He gave us a mind for a reason. He wants us to know things. He wants us to know Him. And if we keep following along with the narrative, we're not going to be able to do that. So I just have a couple books here with me that I wanted to show you, that, you know, just to give you examples of the, you know, you don't have to study the same sorts of things all the time. You don't have to always read nonfiction books. You don't always have to read certain types of books. Learn about what interests you, learn about what is important to you, and again, be a good example for your kids. So some of the things that I have on my shelf, and I know that people have asked me about books on my shelf. If anyone is interested, I will at one point do a longer video about the books that I have. Not all of them, I have like over 500 books, but I will do like my favorite books. But I just have a few here today just to give you an idea of, a lot of people want to know, like, what do I read? Well, here we have Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. In this day and age, these dystopian novels, they read like nonfiction. It actually seems like you're reading something from a newspaper article if you're reading these classics. So yes, keep yourself well versed in classics, especially dystopian ones like Fahrenheit 451, Brave New World, 1984. Those are just some that come off the top of my head. Now, another one that I just got, I'm sorry, my neighbor's kids are outside and they're screaming. Anyway, so right here, I just got the book, Uncle Sam's Plantation, How Big Government Enslaves America's Poor and What We Can Do About It. And this is by Star Parker. And I'm really looking forward to reading that book. The book that I'm reading right now as we speak is Whoever Controls the Schools Rules the World. So as you can see, I've already got an array of topics. First, I've got a classic, then I've got one about, government basically, and then I've got another one about schools. Now here we have Rise of the New World Order, The Culling of Man. I also just got this one as well. I just had like half a dozen books delivered like in less than a month. I don't feel like I have enough time to read, but I need to get on these books. And so another one that I have here is Dissolving Illusions, Disease, Vaccines, and the Forgotten History. So yes, again, it's like a smorgasbord of topics for me, but these are topics that I find interesting. But again, I encourage you, especially if you are one of those parents who is homeschooling because you know that a lot of the stuff that they are learning in schools is not true, I encourage you to look for those topics that are censored, because there has to be a reason that they're censoring them. If they aren't true, and if they're easily disprovable, and if they're harmless, they will not be censoring them. And I'm not saying that any of the topics are harmful to us as a people. I'm saying harmful to the narrative. So yeah, look for those topics that you're not going to be able to find so easily. Look for those topics that are typically buried on Google or buried in YouTube, or that you might hear that Amazon is taking off and won't sell anymore. Look for those topics, because it is when you dig the deepest that you will find the most truth. That's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one over on Instagram, because YouTube disables my comments. And if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. And I hope you have a great day.